Tales of the TMNT Season 5 Episode 4, End Times. Really good episode. I wish I got to actually see it when it premiered, but for whatever reason it didn't end up coming on demand because that's normally how I watch my episodes. So I had to wait till it was actually on the Nickelodeon website to see it today. But it was a pretty sweet episode. I was very surprised by how everything played out, and honestly it sucks that Kavaxas is gone because I really enjoyed Kavaxas as a villain. And in this episode I was like, man, I wouldn't hate if this went on for like maybe 2 more episodes where the amulet was shattered and they had to find like a new way to destroy him because of course he's so insanely powerful. But you know, when you kind of see him like raising the dead and stuff like that, it's like, okay, yeah, maybe that can't last for multiple episodes. I think a lot of people would be dead. However, it does lead to a really awesome Ghostbusters reference, so that's pretty cool. Not the first one they've had either. I don't think it was, because they're like grapple hook things when they did like, you know, the old Attack on Titan thing when they were first fighting like the giant worms or something. Those things look like, you know, the backpacks from Ghostbusters, and these are actually meant to be the Ghostbusting backpacks. They actually, you know, can't, you know, well, they don't reference it or anything, but they, you know, they have actual streams to shoot and hit ghosts with. I would have loved it if they made like an actual like little turtle shell ghost trap. I think that would have been really funny. But we get to see them go full on Ghostbusters, which is actually interesting because there is a Ghostbusters TMNT crossover comic book for anyone who might be interested in that. I don't remember when that came out, but that's what I actually thought of when I saw this. I was like, man, they've actually had that happen before in the comic book, so I thought that was pretty cool. But we get to see them kind of go Ghostbusters mode, minus Casey in the beginning because he's not trusted, but he ultimately ends up getting one anyway. And we get to see the teams split up because we actually get Karai and Leatherhead come in kind of like the second half of the episode. So I thought that was pretty cool because I thought for sure, you know, it would just be the team. It was going to be Turtles, Casey, and April. And then Karai and Leatherhead kind of just came out of nowhere, and I was like, oh, well, that's cool because I like those characters. So I was happy to see them just show up at, you know, towards the end. So we get to see them go out, and you know, we got half the team Ghostbusting, we got the other half of the team fighting Zombie Shredder, who we of course find out is actually under Kavax's control by the end of the episode, or we find out by the end of the episode. And I thought that was cool. I like the way they did that, and of course Tiger Claw was suspicious the whole episode. He's like, man, Shredder just doesn't seem like himself, you know, and I wonder if he's actually resurrected or if he's really just a puppet for Kavaxas. So I thought that was actually cool. We do find out that it really was Shredder's soul, because when you mentioned like the puppet thing, I was like, you know, it might just have his voice and not even be him, but it's like, no, it is actually Shredder's soul and stuff. It's just he's under, you know, Kavaxas. So I thought that was pretty cool. I like the way that played out. It made it really interesting, the fact that they ended everything all together, because I was like, okay, I assumed that what was going to happen was they would end up defeating Zombie Shredder, who was interesting to see in this episode. And I knew something was off in the beginning because when they first fight him, he has Kavaxas' powers where he's like able to stop stuff with his mind. And I was like, okay, clearly something extra is going on here because that's not just a resurrected Shredder. And I was like, maybe there's some plausibility to it because, you know, we got to see Kavaxas like absorbing people's souls and stuff like that. So maybe he's imbued with like this, you know, excessive spiritual essence that gives him like, you know, telekinetic powers. I was like, I could see that, but I feel like it's more that Kavaxas has something to do with why Zombie Shredder has these powers. So as it went on, the fight was cool. They chop off his arm, and Leo once again chops off his head. I was like, man, Leo loves decapitating Shredder. So we got to see that again, but of course he's able to put the arm back on and put the head back on. So he beats the team up, either with brute force or mostly using powers where they're coming at him. He's just like boom, and you know, he flicks them away. So I was like, okay, that's very interesting. How will this all play out? Things continue on, and of course Kavaxas controls Shredder to the point of destroying the amulet. And that's when Kavaxas is like, finally, amulet's destroyed. I have complete control over myself. Of course, as the ultimate villain, he finally has control, and then a scepter just forms in front of him. It's like, sweet. Now he has a scepter, and he's, you know, he opens up the ground and ghosts start coming out. And we get to see, I forgot the guy's name, but obviously the reference to Big Trouble in Little China. So I thought that was cool. We got to see him come back, and we also get to see Master Splinter come back, which was very cool. So I was happy that that happened, and we got the ending sequence where he's able to like hold on to everyone and stuff. And I thought it was a little weird because basically Master Splinter coming back meant that he went to hell, and I was like, I don't know if that really makes a ton of sense considering how they're doing it, where it's like, you know, it's not just anyone who died was in the netherworld. It was like people were dead and they were in the netherworld, and Splinter was green, just like the other ghosts who came from the netherworld, who were, in hell. So it was kind of weird that happened, and then the portal closes up and everything, and I guess him not, somehow he wasn't sucked into it, because of course they showed when he kicked the guy, he got like sucked down, but that didn't happen to Master Splinter. So I was like, it was somewhat confusing to me. I kind of wish there was a bit of an explanation, because I'm like, I don't think he'd be in hell, and they kind of made it clear that he wasn't, because he wasn't sucked into the portal. So why did he just randomly show up? Because they made it specific where it was like the netherworld. It wasn't like the afterlife or anything. It was like specifically they opened up a portal in the ground, and a bunch of, skeletons and stuff were coming out, and, a villain ghost came out, and so did a hero. So I was just like, I don't know if that makes the most sense, because when everything went away, he looked normal, and for like half a second he was able to like hug Karai and stuff. He was like, okay, see ya. And then he floats up and, he disappears. So I was like, I feel like that didn't make 100% sense, but it was still awesome to see him, so still appreciated it. Thought the action was good in this. Like I said, the Ghostbusters reference was definitely awesome. But I'm also curious to see where they're headed next. This is, the first arc of the Tales of the TMNT, and it sucks to see it end, because I really did like Kavaxas as a villain, and he even talks about what he needed in order to gain control of both realms. And it's first he had to absorb the spirit of a good warrior, who is Tatsu, and officially, yeah, he sucked his soul while he was dead, which I figured anyway. I was just like, it would be cool if he wasn't dead, and they don't show that happen. That was another thing I mentioned, like maybe when they defeat Kavaxas, the souls that he sucked out will go back to the people's bodies. That could still happen, because who the F knows where Tatsu's body is, and the other dude who's clearly supposed to be Sylvester Stallone that works for Don. So who knows where their bodies are. Maybe they do end up getting their souls back, and we will see them later. And Tatsu actually showed up too, for like half a second. He didn't actually end up fighting, which makes a lot of sense. Him as a ghost and fighting people, he would have destroyed them. So it makes sense that just, boom, they hit him, he's gone. Because I'm like, he was tough enough as it was as just a human character. So made sense, just like, let's show him, get rid of him, because that just would be too complicated. But it just makes me wonder, like, all right, well, what's happening with these characters? Maybe he couldn't come back because, of course, they like destroyed his soul. He like just exploded. So it just made me wonder, like, are they going to possibly do that in the future, or are they just straying away from that? Kavaxas took their souls, done. So it just makes me wonder how they're going to play around with that idea. But Kavaxas' plan was to absorb the soul of a great warrior, resurrect the soul of a bad warrior, and then just destroy the amulet. So it's like, all right, everything succeeded. Fortunately, Mikey and his like little trick of bubblegum was able to restore the power of the amulet. He was able to control Kavaxas and beat all the villains, and that was pretty cool. So I enjoyed the way they did it. Aside from the Master Splinter thing that I didn't think made a lot of sense, the other thing that I didn't think made any sense was Razar in this episode. I was like, all right, I get it before they figured out that officially it was Kavaxas, where it was like Tiger Claw was, he had his suspicions that something was wrong. I was like, okay, I understand, Razar still being on that side. But afterwards it was like, okay, it's obvious now. Like, even Shredder says it, like, don't you understand? You were right. Kavaxas is my master now. Like, he controls me. And I was like, why is Razar still fighting Tiger Claw? Like, wouldn't he still be loyal to Shredder, where it's like, oh, you were being mind controlled or soul controlled or whatever, we should team up and try, to take down Kavaxas. But that didn't seem to be the case, which I thought was really weird, and once again didn't have an explanation. And he also might be dead again. I don't really know. So we'll see how that plays out, because that dude just, I don't know. So he may or may not be dead again, and I don't know if he'll be resurrected this time around, but I thought that was very interesting, where I was like, that doesn't seem to make sense. And then he kind of seemingly dies again at the end of towards the end of the episode. We also find out exactly who, like the little critter creatures are, and we find out that they're just random people who were mutated by Super Shredder's mutagen. And so I thought that was very interesting, and it like mutated people into kind of, they kind of somewhat look like Shredder, very, very small, but it was like, oh, I can kind of see it. When Raph mentioned, I was like, oh yeah, like that's kind of a little bit in the head. I was like, yeah, that kind of looks like Shredder, and they have like they have like metal fingers and stuff like that. And I was like, oh man, they never talked about it, so of course I wasn't paying that much attention. So I thought that was an interesting little story, and they talk about how Tiger Claw even found all these people, and it was like the homeless guy, for whatever reason, he touched it and it mutated him, and then because he was mutated and he had these visions and flashes of Shredder, he went and just basically like kidnapped other people and, you know, I don't know, threw mutagen on them, and then they all mutated. So I don't know how that's going to play out because none of them die or anything like that. So maybe, you know, somehow Donnie will come up with like a giant tube of, you know, retro mutagen or something like that. But they kind of give the story explanation for those characters, but I don't know, maybe that's a way for them to bring back Shredder, where one of those characters, maybe the first guy, eventually gets the full memories of Shredder or something. I feel like that, you know, just things that they mention, I feel like there's some logical ways where they can be like, oh, boom, here's a new version of Shredder where it's not exactly the same, but he has the same memories and same skills, slightly new aspects as well. So I feel like that's something they could do if they wanted to, but none of those characters were healed or, you know, cured or anything like that. So I feel like that kind of leaves it open for future events. We also have Zever taking off in this. He was just like, yeah, things are just crazy. And he basically just left in this episode. It's like, yeah, it just got a little nuts for me, so I'm kind of out of here. So, see ya. And he's gone. So, I don't know if that's going to be relevant in the future this season where Zever's kind of doing his own thing. Maybe he ends up getting cured again. Because I would love to see that, him kind of turn back human. I think that would be really cool for his character because of just his skills and stuff as a fighter. I think he would actually be benefited from the retro mutagen. Him going back human, I think, would be better for him. But, you know, we'll see how that plays out. But I thought that was very interesting where he's like, yeah, this got a little crazy for me. So, you know, you guys go ahead. Here's, you know, mystery backstory of the critters. And weakness is very bright light. Bye. And he left. And that was it. So I'm sure we'll see him in the future. But I was like, wow, that's it. And he didn't come back at the end of the episode either. Like, he's just gone. Tiger Claw calls a truce by the end of the episode as well. So somebody's coming from somewhere to cause some havoc. So maybe we'll be jumping into the Fugitoid thing. I always bring that up because I'm like, what are they going to do with that? So that could be the case. We could be going into some other characters. You know, I think there are 4 villains total that were shown on the beginning title screen. 3 of them are gone at this point. So, you know, Zombie Shredder was just in this one episode, which really surprised me. Kavaxas is now gone. Tiger Claw, of course, can still be in the series, but he called a truce, at least temporarily. Of course, they'll be villains. At some point, he and the rest of the Foot Clan will be villains again. But for now, like 3 out of 4 of the villains that are in the opening sequence are gone, and the only person left is Mona Lisa's dad. So maybe he'll be the one to show up in the next episode, but I'm very curious what this next arc is going to have for us and what characters we're going to see. Both villains and heroes, what, you know, relevance they'll be playing. But I really enjoyed this. It sucks, like I said, the only thing that sucks about it really is that I kind of wish we got a full episode where it was just Kavaxas as a villain. Maybe everyone had to team up, kind of like they did a little bit in this episode. If we had like a full episode where maybe this episode ended with him finally gaining full control over Shredder, like maybe it took time or something, and then he gained full control over him by the end of this episode, and then the next one was just like all chaos and stuff like that, and the whole episode was them, you know, fighting off ghosts and trying to get the amulet and stuff like that, or fix the amulet and find the shards. But it was still really fun because it was most of the episode where they had to do that anyway. But I would have loved it if it was just like a full 30 minutes, maybe even a full 2 extra episodes with just Kavaxas as the in control villain instead of Tiger Claw controlling. He was already powerful enough, so I get it, because at some point you just have characters so powerful, it's like, alright, that can't last for more than 1 episode, or like, you know, a large chunk of 1 episode, so I do get it, but still would have loved it. I am actually going to miss that character as a villain because he was just really cool. He was a really good, tough villain that the Turtles could not defeat. It was seriously, the amulet was the only thing that could do anything to him. And other than that, it was just like, he's impervious. He's a green fire-breathing dragon who can't be affected by April's telekinesis, can't really be damaged by anything normal. Any sort of physical attacks just did nothing to him. So, really great villain. Love the imagery that they did for some of the episodes. So, in one regard, it's great because we're going to go on into the next, you know, whatever this next tale is going to be for the Turtles. But in another regard, I am going to miss this villain because I thought it was really cool. Also played by Mark Hamill, which is just always awesome. So, really enjoyed the ending to this very first arc of the season. Of course, I would love to know what you guys thought about it, so please comment below. Let me know your favorite parts, or least favorite parts. I would love to know what you thought about the end of this arc. Did you think it was a little too fast with the Zombie Shredder thing? Because I thought for sure that that would last a lot longer. I didn't think it would be just one episode, and then we find out that he was actually being controlled the whole time. And then that was kind of it. And he came in, like, he's even in the opening, and that was kind of like a big deal when the opening was first released to the public before the season even started. And I was like, oh man, that's like Zombie Shredder. That's a really big deal. And then it wasn't. So it was kind of that, that was like an unfortunate thing where it's like, man, aside from Kavaxas being in there longer, because I just like him as a villain, Zombie Shredder as a character is kind of a big deal. And then it was just like, boom, it's done. He's here, and then he's gone. Like, he rises in the beginning, and he falls in the end where he has control of himself, and he's like, we don't belong in this realm, demon. And then they go under. And I was like, man, he's gone. Like, Zombie Shredder, who's in the opening, like I said, one episode is like a one and done thing. Maybe he will come back. That would be awesome to see. But that is like my one true gripe. Like, even the Kavaxas thing is like, that's just, I would love to see a cool villain longer. But that's not that big of a deal. I think his story wrapped up very well, and he's been the villain from the beginning of the season, or one of them at least. But Zombie Shredder was definitely the one detriment where I was like, man, they were building up to this, and then they did it all in one episode, and then he's gone. I was like, oh, wow. I mean, even if he was under control, it would still have been cool to see him a little bit longer, like have some, conflict there, and him being mind controlled and stuff like that. Maybe touch a little bit on, of course, what they did in the end of the last season, him dying, and the relationship between him and Karai, and how he eventually stopped caring about her, and how he may have changed. They could have put some emotional stuff in there, I felt, and I just felt it was missing because it just went so fast. But it was still a good episode for sure. I loved it. I do wish, like, if I could get, like, seriously one thing, even outside of Kavaxas, I would love to have seen, like, at least one more episode with Zombie Shredder, like some of the emotional elements, maybe some resurrected human emotions, rather than just he's mind controlled and then that's it. At the end, I'm like, oh, that's really the one true gripe about this, having more of a good villain. That's just me wanting it, but like as an actual gripe about the arc is that they built up to Zombie Shredder for 5 episodes or so, and then poof, he's here and he's gone, and it's just like done. So that's my one real issue with the entire arc, but I would love to know what you guys thought about it. The villain that was introduced, Kavaxas, what do you guys thought, about Zombie Shredder too fast in here, as far as being resurrected and then being gone by the end of the episode? I'd love to know what you guys thought about that. And I want to know what you guys thought about the arc in general, as well as this episode in general. So please comment below, let me know, and thanks for watching.